My name is Jose, or Capitan Jose, however you prefer. For about the next 25 minutes, 2.5 miles along the river, we're going to enjoy some of the sights and sounds that we have along this river. A little bit of the history, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I do got to present a safety issue, and that is, if you do accidentally fall into this water, please, just stand up and walk across it. It's only 3 feet. Don't be a giant cockroach on me out there and start flapping around all over the place, and I have to get a license to go rescue you. We're at the very first event right here. This is called the River Center, the Shops at the River Center, or the River Center Mall. This is the second biggest mall in San Antonio, right here in front of you, next to the North Star Mall. There is over 1 million square feet of business space here, and this was built in 1985 for over $250 million. Well, somebody's taxing on these right here because I was playing G.I. Joe in the Jungles of Panama around that time. But I love it, the tourists love it, and the San Antonians love it because this boat going up and down the river, believe it or not, is the second major attraction in San Antonio is this boat. Our first major attraction is the elevator. Right here to your left, I put you guys up from the River Center loading area. To us, that's considered to be our most popular loading area. And I always say it's because we have such a wide variety of beverages in there. I always warn everybody because the most popular drink that they sell out of there are frozen margaritas. But their frozen margaritas, them mix with Everclear. Water definitely gives you a nice warm touch to your body pretty quick. But it's the most popular drink everybody loves is frozen margaritas. When you see the bridge in front of you, as soon as you pass this bridge, and that's when you take a look to the right of it, you're going to come up to a 12th century saint statue from Portugal, and the name is Saint Anthony. In 1968, when the Portugal government showed that to us for the World Fair, they built this beautiful statue that's right here to the right. This is Saint Anthony. Now the reason that they placed him here because in 1691, this is where Father Damien Massanet blessed the river and named this river the San Antonio River over 400 years ago. In front of you, to the right of this tree, there's a church that likes to hide back there, and this is St. Joseph's Catholic Church. In 1868, the Germans were determined to build a church in their native language, and they built this beautiful church stone by stone. Now this church did not have a roof or windows for over 40 years, and then in 1902, by way of Munich, Germany, they brought in these beautiful stained glass windows that occupy all the windows that are today. In front of you, to your left, if you look up into Hilton, the Palacio de Rio, the palace on the river. In 1968, during the World's Fair, we were in desperate need of another hotel, and we needed it fast. This was the last hotel built for the World's Fair. We had about 255 days left before the World's Fair started. This hotel was built in 200 days. Now, the way they built this hotel that fast, if you look up at the square miles of the rooms up there, they look like boxes. Each one of those rooms was built 6 miles south of here, completely furnished. As for made, the rugs thrown in there, towels hanging in the bathroom, a little Bible on the table. They were transported over here 10 a day on a flatbed truck, and when they arrived over here, that is 7,000 pounds for each of those units, and they're completely identical. They raised them up with a crane and threw them right on top of each other like Legos. One in, one out, they put it down. At the end of the day, they finished with 500 units, ready for the World Fair. And this was the record time that this was in 7 months. This record is in the World Guinness Book of Records for this size of the structure built this fast. The technology left here and it went to the country of Egypt. And in Egypt, they built a couple of very similar to this one. We're going to make a left under this bridge. As we make this left, you guys are going to have a very nice view of this hotel because when you head under it, you'll get to see how these rooms have that in and out effect a lot closer. But as I'm making the turn, I do got to mention that we have 3 loading areas. We just came out of the River Center. That one to us is considered to be our most popular one. I'll take you guys up. Our second loading area is coming up on the right, past this bridge. And this is called a Historia. And the last one, you'll see down the river in a little bit, and it's when you look up at these rooms, the way they stack these rooms up, one room is like the balcony of the other room. And if you'd like to compare some times, look at this little building here on the right with the white lights on it, the customer service building. Now that little building, it took a year and a half to build. But this hotel on the left with 500 rooms only took 7 months. We're getting ready now to enter one of the most historical areas of all of San Antonio, and it's coming up in front of you, Cashier's Bridge on the left. It's called La Villita, a small village, and it is the oldest village in San Antonio. In 1722, this is where we had 3,000 soldiers show up here from Spain to establish the 5 missions that we have here today, the Alamo Island. And then the early 1800s, the Germans came to settle down here. If you look to your left, that's the architect and the system designs of the Germans, the little land post house. And the best food and of course some of the best beer is in that beer garden. In front of you on your left coming up is the Artisan Theater. This came to us in 1941. This is where we broadcast our river parades, concerts, and events throughout the year. And this little stage here on the right, Sandra Bullock made this stage very famous for us in the movie Miss Congeniality. Rosita Fernandez was a pioneer in the Bahama music back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. In 1968, Lady Bird Johnson gave her the title of San Antonio First Lady of the Song. Coming up on the right is the Bosco Western Art Museum, 1930 to 1968. This was our main library. In 68 to 2001, it became the Hertzberg World Circus Museum. And inside this museum today is known to have Pancho Villa's last known saddle. General Santa Anna's ceremonial sword is in there. And they have a bunch of real nice crafty stuff from the native Indians, and a bunch of stuff from Gene Autry and Johnny Wayne from the Western movies, some of the saddles and clothing that they wore in those Western movies. And I really love these guys because since I'm retired military, if you're a veteran, it's for free to come in this museum, and I come 2 or 3 times out of the year. Now this bridge is one of 5 cast iron bridges that we have on this river, but this one particularly, I always knock on something to give me good luck because this bridge is the lowest one. And I haven't had nobody bump their heads on it yet. There we go, now check out this little island coming up on the right. This is called Marriage Island. On the average year, we have over 500 ceremonies on this island. And whoever marries on this island is supposed to bring them good fortunes. If you look at it very carefully, it's in the shape of a heart. And it's been in that shape for hundreds of years because the cypress roots keep it in that shape. Marriage Island. Coming up in front of you, there's a narrow crossing. This is called Old Mills Crossing. Very popular in 1890 for Teddy Roosevelt, the Rough Riders, and Pancho Villa to use this crossing. And they loved it because it's narrow, shallow, and very hard packed, so it's real easy for them to water their horses and wash their buggies. On your right is the Westin Hotel. Inside this hotel today is known to have 17th century European castle furnishings in there. And also when the San Antonio Spurs play their basketball games, this is where the visiting teams stay at. So when my Chicago Bulls show up to town, I'm on the other side of the street trying to get an autograph. If you look to your left on top of this building, there's beautiful flag on this building. Now, the flag is a half-mast because of a senator that passed away from the state of California. I don't know the name. It was somebody told me the name, but I can't remember the name.
Dianne Feinstein.
Who?
Dianne Feinstein.
Yeah.
Dianne Weinstein? Feinstein. Okay, because I know they're going to ask me over and over. Now, this is called the Tower Life Building, but look at it very carefully because if you see those gargoyles that stick out of this building at the very, very top, those gargoyles were featured in the first Ghostbuster movies back in 1984. Now, we have these 2 brothers, they're called the Smith brothers. In 1929, they're the ones that purchased this building and added that feature to this building. They also added, if you look to your left, right below the second floor windows, these facial faces. Now, the Smith brothers, they were very superstitious back in those days. And when they added all these features to this building, this was supposed to help them ward off the evil spirits and bad business. But in 1929, we had the stock market crash. And the poor Smith brothers, that's the same year they purchased this building for $3 million, and they lost it for 10 cents to the dollar. Now, this devastated them so severely that today this building is one of the most haunted buildings on this river, because one of those brothers decided to jump from the 14th floor of this building onto the street on the other side. So what they hear in this building today are the screams and hollering of the second brother. The second brother, who kind of figured out something fishy was going on. When he ran up to the room, he opened the door and he saw his brother in the window. As he rushed through that window trying to catch his brother, his screams and hollering were so super loud. That's what they hear in this building today. And if you're in the elevator of this building, the 13th and the 14th floor does not exist. And the past 10 years, we had 3 suicides off of this building from the 12th, 10th, and the 9th floor. And the most recent one was 4 years ago from the 9th floor. Coming up on the right is the International Center. This today is the training offices of Mexico, Canada, and the United States. Now, if you look behind me, above the bridge, because the designers of this building, the Tower Life building, they wanted this building to look like a battleship. Some people see it and some don't, but yeah, looks pretty cool. Now, the building here on the right underneath it is one of the... We just transitioned our boats to batteries about a year ago. Now, this building straight in front of you, this is the oldest courthouse in Texas. This is called the Bexar County Courthouse, 1852, and completed in 1856. Now, we're going to make a right turn here. As we make this right turn, there's going to be a bridge right in front of you. But what I'd like you to do is to look right above the bridge, because there's a chain link fence with hundreds of locks on it all the way across. This is called Love Lock Fence. The locals, they come over here, they bring a lock with them, and when they stand on this bridge, they promise their love to each other. I love you, baby. They put the lock on, and then they throw the key in the river. But I always say there's a little city park on the left that they meet at the park, they engage on this bridge, and then they can divorce at this courthouse. But on the other side, if you're serious, look how convenient, because the very first business here on the left is the courthouse. And then the guy changes his hat real quick and it becomes a wedding chapel. He's also the same guy that owns the next business next door. They sell love toys and love locks there. And he also owns this Mexican restaurant. What a setup he has here. But there's just about every imaginable kind of lock behind us on this bridge. And some people just stand on that bridge just to read the locks, because each lock has a personal saying to them. Now, some people come back a year or two later after they put their lock up there, and my God, they spend the whole day up there trying to find that poor lock. Coming up on the right is the Alamo Bank Building, 1927. And then in 1998, the Dairy Plaza, they made a hotel out of it. They're the ones that built this nice bridge right here to make it easy for us to get to the left, which is the main plaza. I'm going to slow down right here, because if you look to your left, look at the center of the plaza, and then way, way back there. Hopefully you can see it. Yeah, it's lit up, so you should be able to see it. That's the oldest cathedral in Texas. It's called the St. Fernando Cathedral. In 1722, we had 16 Canary Islanders show up here from Spain to establish the first Catholic community there that still stands today. And also in that cathedral, it has the ashes of many of the defenders of the Alamo conflict. Boone, Travis, Crockett, and many, many others. In front of you, next to that street light, that's the oldest cypress tree on this river. Over 300 years old, 90 feet tall, and 30 feet wide. Now this bar here on the right with the torches, this is called the Husband Oasis Bar. Now the thing is, because this one, it comes straight down. And I always hope that it never has enough function when I come through here with my boat. On your right again, the Hugman Oasis Bar. Look at that. Nice spot to kind of just relax and have a nice cold beverage. In front of you, coming up on the right, if you look up, this is the Canopy Hotel built by Hilton. Now the story here is 5 years ago when the Hilton wanted to build this hotel, they wanted to build their hotel from the very bottom up. But oops, look what was in the way right here on the right, the Esquire Tavern. It's been here since 1933, so it's a historical building. So the poor Hilton had the brick completely around it. They could not touch one stone off that building. And inside the Esquire is known to have the longest wooden pier so far, over 110 feet long. Then you got the Domingo restaurant right here on the right. That's become a very popular restaurant from the very first day they opened up. As we're passing those boats, coming up on the right is the Aztec Theater. This came to us in 1926. So back then, we had silent movies. So we had performers like Valentino and Charlie Chaplin and many, many others. But if you look at the third level here on your right, there's a stone sculpture of an Aztec up there that looks pretty cool. Now the bridge in front of you is to honor Robert Hugman, who's the architect and the father of the river. But in 1997, Jennifer Lopez changed things on this bridge in the movie Selena. Jennifer Lopez shot a bunch of scenes on this bridge during that movie Selena. So from there on after, we call this Selena's Bridge. It's also the original spot that Selena's husband Christian, who proposed to her on this bridge. And today, it is our most famous bridge on the river. On your right, 1906 is the Frank Sadler Building. Frank Sadler was responsible to build the saddles and harnesses for Teddy Roosevelt, the Red Riders, Pancho Villa, famous politicians and movie stars back in those days. And then in 1941, he started building the saddles and harnesses for the British, the French, and the American armies getting ready for World War II. On your left is La Mansion Hotel. This is the hotel that Jennifer Lopez stayed in during the shooting of the movie Selena. So she was known to be up and down these parts of the river quite a bit, with 5 big bodyguards. They look like they ate raw meat in this first days. You couldn't get nowhere near that day. Now we're going to have an optical illusion come at you guys if you want to get your cameras, or if you just want to look at this. Because this building is a one-sided building. It's going to look like nothing's holding it up, and it might even look like it's in front. As soon as we pass this place, look to your left and look straight up. And look up on high, because the higher up you look, the more sex you're going to get. Began in 1930. It's the first medical condition building for this size of a building. And if you see the slanted windows right here on your left, that's the drive-in for the very first indoor garage. It's been vacant for us for a few years because they're going to make a hotel out of it. But famous people born here, if you guys still remember Carol Burnett, Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, and Henry Cisneros, some of the famous people that were born in that hospital. If you're a motorcycle enthusiast like myself, I do own a Harley. There's a nice Harley Davidson store here on the second level on the right. And if you like steaks and seafood, on your left is Landry's. In 1991, Queen Elizabeth, she visited San Antonio, and she actually came down on the river and got on one of our boats. If you see this British pub right here in front of you on the left, the name is Mad Dog. But if you notice the cypress tree right next to the sign Mad Dog, that cypress tree was planted in 1991 to honor the Queen's visit. If you look to your right on top of this building, there's a beautiful room on this building. This is called the Casino Club building. This was built in 1927. The Germans and French wanted a place to socialize, so they built this building. I just don't get the name over and over, Casino Club building, because it's never been a casino. Now the other thing about this building, if you guys remember the author of Roots, Alice Haney, yeah, he resided here for a short period of time, and he's known to do a couple of chapters of the book Roots here before he published this book. We're now entering what we call Restaurant Square. Because if you look around you, especially coming up on the right past this bridge, my God, these restaurants are right on top of each other. On a real busy night, you can't even walk on these sidewalks. I've seen it many times that there is so many people that the foot traffic just comes to a complete stop. No room to move besides maybe start jumping into the river. But on that note, on the average year, we have over 500 accidental falls into this river. And it's not from these boats. It's a lot of good times, partying, and I tell you that goes on up and down the river. And if you ever see one of these characters fall in here, oh my God, it is the funniest sight. Because it looks like they fell off the Titanic and they're fighting for their life. They forget it's 3 feet. All they got to do is stand up. Now this restaurant right here on the right with the green umbrellas, the name is Boudreaux's. Last week they were named one of the top 50 best restaurants in the whole United States. Right here on the right. This is the best of the best of the best on our river. In front of you on the right, at the steps of the bridge, there's a statue. That's Robert Hugman. In 1941, Robert Hugman, he decided to bring his office and he placed it at the bottom of this building here on the right. To prove to all the business owners that it was safe to bring your business down here and not to be scared of the flood. Well, thank God they trusted him because of that. We have our river walk today because of Robert Hugman, 1941. Coming up on the right, the oldest restaurant on this river, Casa Rio. Now these guys been around for over 80 years, and it is still run by the same family. They have the privilege to have the title to be called the first restaurant to open up on this river, and they are very, very proud of that. Casa Rio. Now we're going to make a left under this bridge, and as we make this left, we're now leaving the natural part of the river. We're now entering what we call the man-made extensions. All this straight ahead in front of you, this is all made out of concrete. And this was built in 1968 during the World Fair to make it easy for us to get to where I took you guys up from the River Center and to the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center. Henry B. Gonzalez was the first Mexican-American to hold a seat in the House of Representatives from 1961 to 1999. And then his son Charlie took over from 99 to 2013. They kind of kept it in the family for over 50 years. If you look behind me, above the bridge, on my left, there's a monument that pops up, and this is called the Church of... That at times, we do have our indifferences, but at the top, we always find a happy medium to continue that brother relationship. In front of you, if you look up, is the Marriott Hotel. 1985, they started construction at this hotel, and they finished it in 1988. Now, the idea behind the plan is this hotel, because right under it is the mall. And their idea was that you shopped all day until you dropped dead tired. You go up to your room, go to sleep, wake up the next day, start shopping all over again. How about that? Shop till you drop. On your right, 750 feet up in the air is the Tower of America. This came to us in 1968 during the World Fair. At the very top of there, there's a restaurant up there that rotates 360 degrees. You're having a nice beverage, you take a drink and you're facing south. You take another drink and all of a sudden you're facing north. You're not sure if it's a beverage kicking in or if it's a restaurant turning. There's 952 steps up there. We had a local high school kid that ran up there in 5 minutes and 18 seconds. And he's been holding on to that record for over 8 years. Now look at this sculpture here in front of you. This thing was wrapped up for about 5 months. They just undid it a few weeks ago, and it's a stargazer. It's a lady. She is sitting down holding that little white star, and she's looking up into the stars. This is made out of volcanic rock from Mexico by a very famous Mexican artist, Pedro Reyes. Now we're getting ready to enter this part of the river, or extension of the river, was closed for over a half a year. They just opened it up earlier this week, so we're one of the first people to start coming back into this area. I'm glad that they opened it up because it's a very nice part of the river. At the very end leads us to the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center. Now I do got to mention that we have 5 beautiful designs on our boats. That way when you see these boats up and down the river, you can kind of relate to them a little better. The boat that you're on today has graves all around it for peace and tranquility. Our second design is the sun that's all around the boat, because on the average year, San Antonio gets over 300 days of sun. Our third design is a number 300 that's all around the boat, because San Antonio's been around for over 300 years. And we use and stars and stripes all around that boat. I do get that boat once in a while. When I do get it, I always feel like I'm back on my podium, because I was a drill sergeant from 82 to 85, and everybody in my boat's like, G.I. Joes and James, let's go get them. If you look to your left and you look up, look at this beautiful artwork. This is called The Confusion of Civilization. This was presented to us in 1968 by the Mexican government during the World Fair. There's over 10,000 different colored stones and tiles to compose that artwork. Now, you see this little island that's in front of us here. We used to be able to go around that island, but on the left side of that island, there's a rail system that completely collapsed. And because of that, we're not allowed to go back through around that island, because they're afraid the metal parts of that rail system might damage the bottom of these boats, so we make this funny turn right here. So this is it. This is the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center. Now this convention center was remodeled about 5 years ago, and because of that, it's one of the most modern and high-tech convention centers around. And that is attracting all kinds of people from all over the world to come and have their conferences and conventions here in San Antonio. I did forget to mention, if you look to the right, underneath this artwork is a theater. The name is the Lady Cochran Theater. Now, Lily Cochran was our first female mayor back in 1975. Now, between her and Lady Bird Johnson, back in the 60s and 70s, Lady Bird Johnson wanted a project done that continues today. And that was to beautify all the highways up and down the state of Texas. So if you ever notice, between the months of February and maybe all the way up to June, up and down the highways of Texas, we have these beautiful patches of flowers, the bluebonnets, and all kinds of other wildflowers. Now, Lady Bird Johnson was convinced that this was for her project for us to enjoy the beauty and the nature of the land, and for us not to get so wrapped up with all the billboards up and down the highways of Texas. A very successful project that continues today. Now we're going to start docking the boat here in a minute, and I do got to ask a couple things. One, please stay seated till we come to a complete stop, because these boats, they like to wiggle around a lot. I don't want to see nobody fall. Number 2, please look around, because a lot of people, they leave their personal items here. My collection's on eBay. It's a very dot. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. And the last thing is, how do I get paid? Well, tips are allowed, they're accepted, and they're greatly appreciated. And thanks to my grandkids, little smart devils, they came up with this thing called Cash App and a Venmo. Really smart guys. God bless everybody. Have a beautiful evening, and let's find a nice spot to park this boat right here. Let's enjoy the rest of the evening.